Why is US President Donald Trump threatening military intervention in Nigeria? What would this military intervention actually look like? And what are some of the causes that have led this to happen? Around a month ago, President Donald Trump threatened military intervention in Nigeria unless the Nigerian government significantly stepped up its efforts to protect Christians in the country from apparent mass genocide. Killings that President Trump made reference to referred to the murders of both Christians and Muslims in northern East Nigeria, where jihadist groups such as Boko Haram and Islamic State have terrorized the region for years and caused havoc for local residents living there. Before we continue, it's really important for me to say there is no widespread evidence of a definitive Christian genocide in Nigeria. Yes, Nigeria is a country where a lot of Christians are being killed, but the fact is that Nigeria is a country evenly divided in faith, with half the population being Christian and the other half being Muslim, and they all generally live in peace and harmony together. It's also important to mention that in recent years, Islamic groups such as Boko Haram and Islamic State have killed more Muslims in northeast Nigeria than they have Christians. Yet, in the minds of the US administration, this is not the case. And this is why there is a real current threat of military intervention in Nigeria by the US. So while we don't know about any ongoing plans for a current US military intervention in Nigeria, we can make good assumptions based on what's happening in other parts of the world, particularly in Venezuela. Now, it's really unlikely that the US would try a full-scale military invasion like they did in 2003 in Iraq, as this is something that the Trump administration has repeatedly said it would not do under any circumstances, and President Trump himself has said he's the president that doesn't get involved in forever wars. So it's most likely that US military intervention in Nigeria would be limited to drone strikes, airstrikes, and special forces missions aimed at eliminating specific targets and achieving certain goals, rather than US military invading and trying to control large parts of the country. Responding to the threat of a possible US military incursion, the Nigerian government has stated that while it would be willing to work with the US to improve its own security situation, it would not tolerate any unlawful or unauthorized military actions on its own borders, as Nigeria is a sovereign country in charge of its own security. This sentiment was echoed by Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, who stated that Nigeria is a country of many different religions, and that the current security crisis was affecting those of all faiths. Since then, there's been no real conversation by either the Nigerian government nor the US about possible military intervention in the country, apart from the US government sanctioning some individuals involved with the killings of Christians in Nigeria. Yet with these ongoing acts of violence still occurring in Nigeria, particularly with recent kidnappings happening recently, it's not impossible for the US to potentially come back and reconsider the issue, including the use of military force, meaning that future military intervention by the United States in Nigeria is not off the table. Currently on the Safarga Nigerian forum, we're running two poll questions regarding this issue about possible US military intervention. Now these polls are very easy to use, they take 2 minutes from any mobile device, and I'll put the link for that poll and for the forum itself in both the description and the comments of this video. As I said previously when I set up this channel, I generally believe that this is a really important way for ordinary Nigerians, whether back home or around the world, to have their voice heard and share their own opinions. So please do go and vote in the polls. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, and please continue to follow Safarga.